Welcome to the Reddit Family Tallis YouTube channel, a place where genuine and inspiring family stories are shared. Here, you'll enjoy unique videos about family life, humorous moments, and meaningful lessons. Let's explore together the stories where love and connection shine through. Join us in creating beautiful memories. Please comment and let us know where you're watching from. Hit subscribe now so you won't miss the special video launching tomorrow. She took a break to date her ex. So I sold our house and left. Jake always thought he had found the love of his life in Emily. At 30 years old, he had built a stable career, a home, and a future he was excited to share with her. Emily, at 28, was charming, ambitious, and full of life. They had been together for 4 years, and everything felt right, or at least, that's what Jake believed. From the moment they met at a mutual friend's barbecue, the chemistry between them was undeniable. They talked for hours, laughing over childhood stories and their shared love for road trips and classic rock. Within a year, they moved in together, splitting rent on a cozy townhouse just outside Denver. Life wasn't extravagant, but it was comfortable, and more importantly, it felt real. When Jake proposed, it wasn't some grand, over-the-top gesture. It was just the two of them at home, sitting on the couch after dinner. He pulled out a small velvet box, looked her in the eyes, and asked her to be his wife. Emily's reaction was everything he had hoped for: tears of joy, an immediate yes, and a night spent dreaming about their future together. They envisioned a fall wedding, an intimate ceremony by the lake, and a life filled with love and adventure. At first, Emily was fully invested. She sent Jake Pinterest boards filled with wedding ideas, browsed bridal shops, and debated the little details: white roses or tulips for the centerpieces, a live band or a DJ. She was excited, or so it seemed. Then, slowly, something changed. Jake started noticing little shifts in her enthusiasm. At first, he thought she was just overwhelmed. Wedding planning can be stressful, right? But then, the small delays turned into full disinterest. When he asked if she had picked her bridesmaids, she shrugged it off. "Not yet. I'm still thinking about it," she'd say. The same happened with the dress, the cake, even the music. Every decision they had once been excited about became something she wanted to push off. Jake didn't want to overthink it. He told himself she was just busy with work. But deep down, an uneasy feeling was settling in. Something was off, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was the only one still holding on to the dream. Looking back, he wondered why he hadn't seen it coming sooner. Jake wanted to believe that Emily was just going through a phase. Maybe she was overwhelmed with work, stressed about the wedding, or just needed a little space. But deep down, something wasn't right. Her excitement for their future had faded, and now, she was distant, always on her phone, always distracted. He'd catch her smiling at messages, only to quickly lock her screen when he walked into the room. The unease in his gut only grew, but he still didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then, one night, everything changed. It was a Friday evening, and Jake got home from work early. He was looking forward to a quiet night, maybe order some takeout, binge watch their favorite show, just enjoy some time together. but as soon as he stepped inside, he felt it. The air in the room was different, heavy. Emily was sitting on the couch, laptop open, staring blankly at the screen. "Hey, I'm home," he said casually. She barely looked up. "You're early." That was it. No warmth, no excitement. Just a flat, almost annoyed response. Jake tried to shake it off, heading into the kitchen to grab a drink. But the silence was deafening. She wasn't asking about his day, wasn't making conversation, wasn't acting like herself at all. Finally, he turned around. "Is everything okay?" Emily shut her laptop, let out a deep breath, and looked up at him. "There's something I need to talk to you about." Jake's stomach sank. That sentence never led to anything good. He walked over and sat down across from her, bracing himself. "All right," he said. "What's going on?" She hesitated, like she was searching for the right words. Then, she just blurted it out. "I've been thinking about us, and about Brandon." Jake almost laughed. "Brandon? Your ex? What about him?" She bit her lip, avoiding his gaze. "I guess I just need some time to figure things out. I think I need a break, to see if there's still something there with him." For a moment, Jake just stared at her, trying to process what she had just said. A break? To date her ex? He let out a breath, leaning back. "So let me get this straight. You want to put us on pause so you can go play What If with Brandon?" Emily looked uncomfortable. "It's not like that," she insisted. I need to be sure I'm making the right decision with you." And that's when it hit him. She wasn't just uncertain about their marriage. She was uncertain about him. Jake sat there, staring at Emily, his fiancée, the woman he had planned to spend his life with, telling him she needed a break to see if there was still something left with her ex. For a few seconds, he felt frozen, like he had stepped into someone else's nightmare. He waited for her to take it back, to realize how absurd she sounded. But she didn't. She just sat there, looking at him, waiting for him to be okay with it. Something inside Jake shifted. He had expected to feel anger, to yell, to demand an explanation. But instead, he felt nothing. Just a strange, hollow clarity. Emily had already made her decision. She wasn't asking for permission. She was telling him what she was going to do. And suddenly, Jake knew exactly what he had to do. He leaned forward, his voice calm, too calm. "All right," he said. "Take your break." Emily blinked, clearly caught off guard by how easily he agreed. "Wait, what? You want space? You got it." He stood up, pushing the chair back as he did. "But just so we're clear, this isn't some trial separation where I sit around waiting while you figure things out. You want to go test the waters with Brandon? Go ahead. But don't expect me to be here when you're done playing games." Emily's face paled. "Jake, that's not what It doesn't matter what you meant, Emily." He exhaled sharply, shaking his head. You made your choice. Now, I'm making mine. The next few days were a whirlwind. While Emily packed a small bag and left for her parents' house, probably assuming Jake would mope around and wait, he was already putting things into motion. First, the house, his house. The mortgage was in his name, and he wasn't about to live in a place filled with memories of a woman who had treated him like a backup plan. He called a realtor first thing Monday morning. Next, he packed up every single trace of her existence from his home. The framed pictures, the cute little live, laugh, love signs she had insisted on putting up, the throw blankets she loved, gone. He didn't just toss them in a closet. He hired a moving company and had them delivered to her parents' house with a simple note: "Here's your stuff. Good luck with Brandon." Then, he made the biggest move of all. He applied for a job transfer, one he had been considering for months, but never pursued because of Emily. Now, there was nothing holding him back. By the end of the week, Jake wasn't heartbroken. He was free. Jake didn't waste any time. While Emily was off at her parents' house, probably thinking she had all the time in the world to figure things out, he was already moving forward. The house was officially on the market, his job transfer application was sent in, and he had removed every last trace of her from his life. He wasn't sitting around waiting, he was reclaiming his future. At first, Emily didn't seem to notice. A few light-hearted texts came in. "Hey, hope you're doing okay," as if she had just gone on a weekend trip instead of putting their entire relationship on hold to chase after her ex. Jake ignored them. Then, the messages got more frequent. More urgent. By the end of the week, she found out about the house. Jake was in the middle of a workout when his phone blew up with messages from Emily. "Why is our house listed for sale?" "What are you doing, Jake?" "We just needed some space. Can we please talk?" He smirked at his phone, wiped the sweat off his forehead, and sent a single reply. "It's my house. And we don't need to talk." That's when the panic really set in. Through mutual friends, Jake started hearing whispers. Turns out, Emily's little adventure with Brandon wasn't quite the romantic reunion she had imagined. Apparently, for years hadn't changed him much. He was still the same unreliable, unfaithful guy he had always been. Emily was realizing too late that she had thrown away a committed relationship for a fantasy that didn't exist. And Jake? He was thriving. The job transfer came through: Austin, Texas. A fresh start in a new city. The house had multiple offers, and in just a few weeks, it would officially be sold. He had started hitting the gym more, reconnecting with friends, and planning for a future that no longer included Emily. Then came the inevitable. Emily showed up at his office unannounced, her eyes red and puffy, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "Jake, I made a mistake," she whispered. "I was scared of commitment. I thought I needed to see if there was something better out there, but I was wrong. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." Jake stared at her for a long moment. Then, he shook his head. "No, Emily. The best thing that ever happened to me was you showing me who you really are before I married you." And just like that, he walked away, without a single regret. Jake walked out of his office that day without looking back. Emily had finally realized what she had lost, but it didn't matter anymore. She wasn't the woman he thought she was, and he sure as hell wasn't going to be her backup plan. For the first time in months, he felt light, like he had been carrying the weight of a relationship that was already dead, and now, he was free. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The house sold for over asking price, and Jake finalized his move to Austin. He found a sleek new apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. It was different from his old home, but that was the point. This was his fresh start, and every piece of furniture, every framed picture, every single thing in this space would be chosen by him, not memories of a relationship that no longer existed. Meanwhile, Emily's life was falling apart. Through mutual friends, Jake learned that things with Brandon had crashed and burned fast. Turns out, the guy who cheated on her in college hadn't exactly changed. Shocking, right? He had already started seeing someone else, leaving Emily humiliated and alone. And the fallout didn't stop there. Emily had built her career as a freelance designer, relying heavily on word-of-mouth recommendations. But when people found out what really happened, how she had left her fiancé to chase after an ex, clients started pulling away. One of her biggest contracts was canceled. The professional network she had counted on suddenly wasn't so supportive. She tried to spin the story online, posting vague, inspirational quotes about finding yourself and personal growth, but it didn't take long before people stopped buying it. Jake, on the other hand, he didn't need to post cryptic messages, he was too busy living. His new job in Austin was a game changer. He was surrounded by motivated, ambitious people, and for the first time in years, he felt excited about his future. He started going rock climbing, picked up Spanish lessons, and even adopted a rescue dog, Duke, a scrappy little mutt with way more energy than he knew what to do with. Then came the final message. Emily emailed him, begging for one last conversation. "You can't just erase 4 years," she wrote. "Those memories mean something." Jake's response was simple. "You're right. Those years taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson." And with that, he closed the chapter for good. What do you think? If you were in Jake's shoes, how would you have handled the situation? Do you think he made the right decision by walking away, or should he have given Emily a second chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've ever experienced something similar, we'd love to hear your story. Let's talk about it.